Thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview. I'm your host today, Aurelian Jeremiah. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Dan Blaker, the talented trainer behind Straight No Chaser, fresh off an impressive victory in the Riyadh Dirt Spring. As he sets his sights on the Dubai Golden Shaheen, we'll dive into his insights on international racing, managing training from afar, and what's next for this exceptional sprinter. Plus, we'll uncover the story behind Straight No Chaser's unique name. Stay tuned for an exciting conversation with one of the sport's rising stars. All right, great to have you back in. So Straight No Chaser's victory in the Riyadh Dirt Spring was truly impressive. What were your thoughts watching the race unfold, and did he exceed your expectations?
Well, the race itself, I was most anxious about two things really. The surface of the track. A lot of people have said that it's a deep dirt surface, which is he's not familiar with. Typically in California, and the tracks that he's running in the States have been fast dirt tracks, and so I was a little concerned about the surface. Seemed in historically a lot of horses come from off the pace on it, and he, as everyone knows, he's a horse that likes being close to the lead, if not on the lead. So that was I was a little apprehensive about that, and then also the break. I always he had one race last year where he stumbled out of the gate, and he didn't run well because of that, and so always just hoping the horse can break sharp, and once he broke sharp and put himself close to the pace as he did, I felt pretty confident he was going to run well.
Excellent, excellent. And with him now having, competed successfully on an international stage, how would you compare the racing surfaces and environment at King Abdulaziz Racecourse in Riyadh with what you've seen at Meydan in Dubai?
Firstly, I think the surface in Riyadh at King Abdulaziz racecourse was a great surface. Very kind. My horse seemed like he trained very well over it. Really thrived in the week or the almost 2 weeks that he was in Riyadh. He had one workout over the surface and traveled great over it. That actually gave me some confidence going into the race. But overall, it was a great place to train, and the horse really thrived. And I think that's a lot of it down to the horse. He's a very resilient horse, takes travel all in his stride. Nothing really phases him in terms of moving from place to place, which is part of what makes him so great. And then I think going to Dubai, the travel was very smooth. That flight was easy. He arrived there in great shape, and considering all he's been through over the last few weeks, it's really remarkable how well he looks. He's got great weight. He's got good energy. He cantered really well on the track this morning. I spoke to my assistant. He said he's doing really well, and overall, I'm really happy with the way he looks. I mean, I think the dirt surface at Meydan, even as impressively as he ran in Riyadh, I think the dirt surface at Meydan should be even more to his liking. As I said, he likes a flat dirt track, and I think like typically at Meydan, it looks like speed is key. So I think that's going to hopefully work out in our favor.
Hopefully, indeed. So you're back already at Santa Anita, or you're heading back soon?
I'm at Santronita right now. Yeah, I
Okay,
had
perfect. So you're
horses
already
race.
back here.
Yeah,
And
I had horses racing at the weekend, so I accompanied. Well, I didn't accompany the horse. I traveled to Dubai with Straight No Chaser to get him settled in, and my assistant there stays with him and gets on him. He settled in fine, and then I flew back to LA last week.
okay, excellent. And I guess the person overseeing Straight No Chaser at the moment would be Juan Landeros, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. How do you manage training, remotely? What's your communication strategy to stay involved in, I guess, his preparation?
Well, there's two aspects to that. I mean, I think firstly, I talk to my assistant every day about every horse, whether I'm at the location or if I'm away. So if Juan is here at the barn at home and I'm away, we go through every horse every day when we finish before training and after. So I just keep tabs. I have all my charts on my computer, so I have everything accessed, and then we have an iPad in the office, so that has all the same charts that we keep updated. So both of us kind of are always on the same page about all the horses. And then secondly, like I have a routine that has been in place that and one has worked for me for many years now. That he knows the routine. Um, it's second nature to him, and so in terms of the feed program and the horses routine and training, everything's pretty straightforward. And the good thing about Dubai and Meydan, it's an oval racetrack. It's similar training environment to what we have here in the States. So it's an easy transition, and me being there I'm going to hopefully fly back to Dubai next weekend to see his first major workout leading in preparation for the Golden Shaheen. So I'll be back and forth, but one knows the routine, and we speak every day about every horse, so it's kind of that's generally our how we keep tabs on everything.
Awesome. That seems pretty straightforward in a way.
Yeah.
That's cool. And the 6 week gap between the Saudi race and the Dubai Golden Shaheen seems fairly perfect, according to your comments previously. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate a little bit more on your training approach during this period and how you build towards April 5th?
I think there's been a lot of talk over the last 10-20 years of modern racehorses racing less than they used to. And I think it's a product, in my opinion, of the evolution of training methods and trainers' philosophies of how to get their horses to perform at their absolute peak on race day. And I think that over the years, on the whole, trainers have found that horses run bigger races when they're fresh and when they have a little bit more spacing between races. And so there's obviously a period, you want to hit that ideal period of time to freshen them up after a race to get them really ready, but then you want to hold some of that fitness from the previous race as well. So there's kind of a perfect time frame, and it's somewhere between 5 to 7 to 8 weeks, I think. And I think 6 weeks is really kind of fits right in that perfect window of he gets plenty of time to get fresh and get his energy back, ready to fire from the race in Saudi. And then also it's not too far away that he can retain some of the fitness of the previous race, and we don't really need to really crank him down to get him fit again to ready to race in the Golden Shaheen. But it's he's a horse that obviously each horse is an individual, and we have to look at each one. Some run really well when you run them back sooner, and some need a little bit more time. He's kind of a more light framed horse that I think it runs a big race typically if you give him a little bit more time between races. So 6 weeks to me, in my mind, when you look at that, the time scale and all the travel, I think it works perfect.
Excellent. It's very interesting how different horse has, different time, I guess, expectation or time way of managing themselves.
Yeah, I think a lot of regions in the world do it differently. I know in Australia they often run horses back in quick succession within a week,
Okay.
and then again within 2 weeks. And I think it depends where you are in the world and what works for your horse as an individual. So there's nothing set in stone. But I know for my horse and in this scenario, I think 6 weeks is going to be a perfect time.
Excellent. And given that you're a Godolphin Flying Stars graduate, and you've mentioned how much you owe to Sheikh Mohammed, how meaningful would a victory in Dubai be for your career?
Well, I mean, it would mean a lot. As a trainer, I've always one of my greatest ambitions personally was to take a good horse overseas and campaign him on the global stage. And this horse is obviously he's one of the best horses I've ever had, and to get the chance to do that is it's a dream come true, and I'm very excited about the prospect of his next race. I mean, look, I just try and do what's right for the horse and for that of the owners. And these races seem logical spots with the money that's on offer and his talents. So, I try not to make it too much about me, but on a personal level, yes, like it means a lot to come back to Dubai with a great horse, and I owe a lot. I owe a lot to Sheikh Mohammed for being accepted onto the Dali Flying Start program. It's certainly has part of the reason why I'm here today. So I'm excited to bring a horse back here and put my name on the program. And it would mean a lot. I mean, I'm excited to get back to Dubai. It's changed a lot since when I was there, but at the end, at the roots, it's still one of the meccas of global racing right now.
Excellent. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about the plans after the Middle East. So after potentially completing, your Middle East campaign, what might be next for Straight No Chaser? Are you considering bringing him back to defend his Breeders' Cup Sprint title, or do you have any other international targets in mind?
I mean, I always tend to just see how these horses come out of the race, how they travel, how, and let them give us an indicator of how soon they can run back, or how much time they might need off before their next race. But yeah, I mean, he won the Riyadh Dirt Sprint was a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. So it's nice to have that that part of it, the fees paid to get into that race, and that's the race that obviously makes sense to point towards the end of the season. And I think hopefully if he's still doing great as he is now at that time, that would be certainly a race that we could be pointing towards long term. In the short term, in between then and now, it's tough to say. I mean, there are some options. Del Mar in the summer in California is obviously one, and I'm sure there's some other options further afield that we could consider. But really, like, we're just focused on the Golden Shaheen right now, pointing towards that, and hopefully we get a good result in this race, and we'll decide what's next after that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And of course, finally, on to the last question. Where does the name Straight No Chasers come from?
Well, it's actually, I think, so the story goes, according to Joe Moran, the racing manager of my racehorse, it was Nick Hines that coined the name. He's a bloodstock agent that was responsible for selecting Straight No Chaser at the sales. And I think the name is actually the name of a band, an a cappella band in the United States. And the horse is also, his mother's name is Margarita Friday. So there's some links to drinking, which is maybe not appropriate when you're in Saudi Arabia. But according to if you look at his family, there's a lot of his siblings have drinking related names, and so I think all of that combined, Nick Hines was the one that really came up with the name, and it's such a great name, and it fits the horse so well.
Excellent. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us again. That's fantastic.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
For sure, for sure.